What they do, Phins family, dog fans in South Florida representatives. Y'all know it ain't nothing but your folk day way back on time with another video. And I know it's been a while since I hollered at y'all, but I'm back to give y'all a recap of our loss against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I know some of y'all probably saying, damn, why wasn't you here to give us the video on our win against the Patriots? That's because I had some things going on. I'm still building this show also, just so y'all know that. I know y'all see videos. I know y'all see shorts, TBFN shorts. I know y'all been subscribing, and I appreciate all the love and support. But I'm actually still building this show. I'm still adding segments, still fine-tuning it. You know, even though it's been a year, I still feel like this is still my inaugural season. This is still me putting this thing together because I want to have a good Dolphins show on YouTube for the fans to be able to reference whenever they looking for somebody that's talking that real about the team, who actually watch the games and giving y'all a real good analysis on what the fans are seeing and what I'm seeing. Now, there was a lot of storylines to this game, a lot at stake as far as AFC bragging rights, as both teams have been considered the cream of the crop in the conference. Both us and the Kansas City Chiefs entered this thing tied with Jacksonville and Baltimore atop the AFC standings. And this is the first international NFL matchup featuring two teams that's at least 4 games over 500. I didn't know that. I thought, so it's been a lot of losing teams that's been playing overseas, you know. So, you know, that's something that I thought was pretty interesting. Deutsche Bank Park, which uses a hybrid field because their soccer team plays on that field, it's neither grass nor artificial. And a lot of folks have said that it's the best option to play on. I think we might start seeing those fields being changed over from grass or turf to a hybrid field in the NFL. Maybe that's why they have teams playing on this field here in Germany, is because maybe they're trying to see, you know, how the players do on that. Maybe they just wanted the two best teams, two fastest teams to play on that so they can kind of experiment. I know a lot of players have complained about the turf. You know, we saw Aaron Rodgers get hurt, and there's been other injuries that have led most of the players to pretty much petition to some degree for grass to be in every stadium. And I want grass to be on every stadium. But I found out from researching that there's pros and cons to having grass. Yes, grass naturally acts as a cushion because of the earth. You know, it's concrete. There's no give whatsoever. So if you fall, you hit your knee on that shit, you probably gonna have an ACL injury if you land the wrong way. Probably the same way with grass, but there's less severity of bad injuries like that. But grass is expensive to maintain. That's the only thing. That's probably why you have some teams that the owners, they hear the players, but they're not hearing the players because they're trying to keep the costs down. In the rain and snow climates, players are usually racing all over it, falling and tumbling and skidding. All of that takes a toll on the grass, and it gives it wear and tear. They just installed this field a week before the game to prepare. Kansas City's coming off of a bye week. Their previous battle was against the Broncos in a loss, and that loss had a handful of their pessimistic fans. They don't have a lot of pessimistic fans, but the handful that they did have after that Broncos loss was calling them the Kansas City Queefs. And y'all know what a queef is. That's when the one, you know what? I ain't gonna even say it. Y'all know what a queef is already. But the Chiefs, their defense is good enough to slow down explosive offenses like ours to some degree. They've only allowed just 16.1 points per game, which ranks second in the league behind only the Ravens, who we're going to play later on in the season. On offense, Kelsey's still Kelsey. He's still elite. No, they don't have Tyreek Hill, but he's still elite. He leads all tight ends in receptions with 54 and receiving yards with 583 this season. He also has caught 79.4% of his balls targeted at him this season, which ranks him second among all tight ends with at least 45 targets. And y'all wonder why Taylor Swift is all on this man jock. It's because of that. He's the elite tight end in the league. That's who Taylor Swift wants to be paired with, is an elite tight end, goddammit. So shit, maybe if Gesicki was doing this, she'd want to be with Gesicki, you know, or if Pitts was elite like how Kelsey is, we probably be seeing them hugged up on each other, but it's Kelsey. Tua, on the other hand, he leads the league in passing yards per game, 302 yards a game, which is ridiculous, and his passer rating is 108.8. He also is tied for the NFL league in passing touchdowns with 18, and he's on pace right now to record the fourth ever season with a 70% completion percentage while averaging at least 300 passing yards a game. That's good company. Not a lot of quarterbacks have done that. Drew Brees did it twice, and that's who everybody compares Tua to. He did it once in 2011, and he also did it in 2016. And Deshaun Watson, when they was telling us we needed to trade Tua for, did it in 2020. And that's probably what got him that contract that he got with the Browns. Tyreek Hill faces the Chiefs for the first time since we traded for him, and we were all watching a battle between 3 MVP candidates as well, and 2 offensive gurus. Coach Andy Reid being more of the guru than McDaniel due to experience and proven production, but Mike McDaniel, he's revolutionizing the league right now, and he's looking like the future Andy Reid with his play calling. This game was also anticipated to be a shootout, but it became more of a methodical offensive approach from both teams. They had to do that because of the defense. The defense was playing good on both sides for both teams. And I just think we lost this game due to penalties, due to drops, and miscues on third down offensively. We just fell behind the 8 ball early and couldn't get ahead, couldn't catch up, and that's how we lost this game 14-21. Here's a breakdown of the game starting with the first quarter. Defense is on the field. Kansas City's first drive, Marquez Valdez-Scantling catches a 21-yard gain from Mahomes. They lined up in a tight shotgun, 3 wide receiver set in this first drive, and they mixed in some 5 wide sets. Like this 5 wide set pass to Kelsey for 5 yards on the next play. Then they made a pass to Sky Moore, and then they lined up in a shotgun 3 wide set and made a pass to, I forget the tight end's name, I think his name is Watson. He appeared to catch a touchdown, but the football hit the ground as he was catching the ball, and so the touchdown was reversed. They moved down the field quickly and expeditiously on this first drive. That made it 2nd and 10 at the 11-yard line. We tried to double Kelsey in the red zone, but the Chiefs lined up in a 5 wide set and threw a perimeter screen to wide receiver Rashee Rice, who ran with power for the score, and that put us down 0-7. Offense's first drive at 12 minutes and 3 seconds, we get a touchback on the kickoff. We're a split back 2 wide receiver set. Throw a pass to Waddle between 3 defenders. Tua was right on the money, showing anticipation, throwing that thing right before Jalen was able to turn his head and break. Then we line up in a split back and toss to Mostert for a short gain. And then, unfortunately on that play, Waddle was down after getting his feet wrapped up on that run, and that kind of affected him throughout the game. 2nd and 9, we're in a pistol formation, and we tried to do a screen to Hill, but he only got 1 yard. And then Claypool comes in at wide receiver. We line up in a shotgun bunt set, and Chase ends up jumping offside. So that's the first penalty. That's one of the first penalties that kind of led to us being off of our timing. Next play, KC jumps offside, so we're able to get that yardage back. But then Tua gets sacked from a disguised pressure set from Steve Spagnuolo. Well, Steve Spagnuolo, that's his name, not Spagnuolo. He sent Watson on a blitz, and Tua did a good job of just taking the sack, and we ended up punting. At this point, we got news that Waddle was limping on the sidelines, and he was questionable to return with a knee injury, but he does return. Defense is back on the field. This is KC's second drive with 9 minutes and 15 seconds in the first. Isaiah Pacheco runs up the middle for an 8-yard gain. Then they line up in a 4-wide set and run with Pacheco up the middle again. And then Phillips gets pressure to disrupt the pass. Van Ginkel gets a TFL. And then on third down, Kansas City tried to run a double screen to Kelsey, but Van Ginkel and Chubb, they did a good job of reading and reacting on that play and stopping that shit for a short gain. KC ended up punting. Offense's second drive with 6 minutes and 36 seconds. Mostert gets 6 yards on a toss run. And then we see Waddle come back in the game, which is good. We run a double reverse to Waddle, and he gets chunk yardage on that play. It almost looked like he was playing possum with him a little bit, acting like he was more hurt than what he was. And then they bit on that, they got caught in that double reverse, and he was able to get some chunk yardage on that. Then KC gets a defensive holding call, and Tua finds Hill in traffic. And a note that I took at 3 minutes and 10 seconds is we get an illegal shift penalty on Cedric Wilson and Reed. That penalty kind of slowed down the momentum for us, because I think we were, in the first quarter, we should have at least had like 14 points. Because there was times when we were driving and the drive just got stalled somehow due to something dumb like a penalty, and this was one of them. Reek and Wilson, they both weren't set before the snap. That's why they got called. And that negated what would have been a first down after Waddle threw a nice pass. Tua threw a nice pass to Waddle on a back shoulder pass that would have gave us a first down, but it was 3rd and 15. Next play, we attempted a no-look shovel pass to Ahmed, who was stopped short, and we ended up punting. Now, that shovel pass, I think we should save that play, because we should use it maybe on the team later on in the season, maybe next game, because I think if Connor Williams would have reacted to the blocking scheme a little bit faster, if he would have just spent off of his man to block downfield a little bit earlier, I think Ahmed could have, busted a big run on that one. That probably could have got the first down. Defense back on the field. This is Kansas City's third drive with 1 minute and 35 seconds left in the first. I noticed that they're making some plays. They're getting down the field. And at 12 seconds, Zach Seiler gets pressure after wrapping from the interior. And at 6 seconds, Mahomes attempts a bomb to Watson, who got no separation from Howard covering him in stride. And the Chiefs ended up punting again. And I noticed, after that first drive, great coverage calls by Fangio. Great job by our defensive tightening up. The first few plays of any team is usually going to be scripted, so they may get some points right away, but I'm glad we tightened up in the first. Second quarter. Now, before I talk about the second quarter, I just want to make a quick note. We lead all teams in second quarter points. So that's a good stat to have, and I wanted to make sure and throw that out there, because in the second quarter, I'm like, all right, all the fireworks is over in the first. We took their best shot. Let's go ahead and get some points before the half. But we didn't do that. Tyreek dropped what would have been a dime, from Tua, but because Tua threw it right on time, right on point, and he just wasn't able to track the ball and get it in his hands. Third down, Tua threw a pass to Jeff Wilson on the angle route, but he dropped that. I think if Wilson would have caught that, he would have either gotten the first down or he would have gotten close to the first down. And then at that point, Mike probably would have went for it, and I think we probably would have got it. But he dropped the ball, and we ended up punting. At 13 minutes and 25 seconds of the second quarter, Christian Wilkins gets a tackle for loss. It's a 7-yard loss. That made it 2nd and 17 for Kansas City. And then Xavier Howard, who covered Watson well all game, got a deflection. And then at 3rd and 17, we sent the zone blitz pressure on a twist. And that sped up Mahomes' clock and forced him to throw faster than he'd like. He ended up completing a short pass, but it was short of the first. At 11 minutes and 50 seconds, the offense is on the field in the second quarter. And Tua throws a bomb to Waddle. It would have been a bomb, but he couldn't track the ball. And then we get an intentional grounding penalty on the next play. And then at 3rd and 20, Tua scrambles left but couldn't find nobody open down the field and had to settle for a completion to Jeff Wilson, who all he could do was get the penalty yardage back that we got from the intentional grounding. And we ended up having a punt again. Defense back on the field. I took some notes on what I noticed about Fangio's scheme so far. He did a great job so far of showing multiple fronts to mix it up, and we was creating disruption with just rushing 4 players. Which, if we can get better at that, rolling into December, that's going to help us possibly get into the playoffs, especially if we can really stop the run, on first and second downs. But he also used time blitzes, and those blitzes affected both the run and the pass. And I also noticed so far that Fangio's been deceptive with dropping Chubb and Phillips back in the coverage, which I don't think we did that under Flores or Josh Boyer, but we're doing that now. Obviously, we didn't have Chubb when Flores was there, but we didn't drop Agba back in the coverage as much as I'm seeing us do here with Vic Fangio. 10 minutes and 13 seconds. I noticed Raekwon Davis tackled the running back for a short loss, and then Bradley Chubb gets called for holding while in coverage. 6 minutes and 50 seconds, Raekwon Davis makes another tackle for short yardage. And I want to say something about Raekwon. Y'all heard me say in a previous video that I was disappointed in Raekwon. And I think maybe, and I think he still could be even more impactful in games. But I have noticed he has done a good job of stopping running backs short for loss, in previous games. It doesn't pop out on the stat sheet, and we're not seeing no fumbles. He's not creating no turnovers, or not a lot of turnovers as much as we would like to see. But he is effective in the run game, so I will give him that. Bradley Chubb gets called for holding while in coverage, and then David Long made a great tackle to stop progress on a play, but Mahomes finds McKinnon for touchdown underneath on the angle route, and he easily runs it in untouched for a touchdown. I already told y'all Bradley Chubb was called for holding. He didn't get called for holding again. My bad on that. Offense back on the field. We get a 9-yard run from Ahmed. Then Tua hits a slant to Waddle to get us to midfield. And then he finds Hill for 19 yards. And I'm thinking, we got the Chiefs on their heels now, so we should be able to come back. Next play was a disaster, though. We attempted a screen to Reed, but KC read the play and appeared to strip the ball for a fumble. The player who recovered it, he lateraled the ball, and KC scored to make it 0-21. Now, to me, when I look at that play, I think it should have been ruled incomplete. Supposedly, the refs took a look at it. I'm not sure if Mike McDaniel challenged it or not. Doesn't look like he did, but supposedly they looked at it and confirmed it. I thought it was incomplete because when you look at the play, yeah, he did have somewhat possession of the ball, but it looked like he only had possession because of the defender kind of trapping the ball between him and Tyreek, but it doesn't look like he really had a good handle on it. So I guess it could have been called either way. I would have called it incomplete, obviously, because I'm a Dolphins fan. I don't like the fact that shit happened and that gave them a 21 goose egg score, but it is what it is. Offense back on the field with 33 seconds and a half, and we went 3 and out and ended up punting. Kansas City ended up getting the ball back and taking the knee before the half. Now, some halftime notes that I took. I noticed that I would say besides the fumble by Tyreek, to me the difference so far in the game was just better execution by the Chiefs. Receivers were catching the ball. They also had better success running inside zone and getting production with runs up the middle. And I also thought that Andy Reid called better plays than Mike McDaniel in down and distance situations. Not that Mike's plays were bad, but he's not calling enough run plays in my opinion, and the running game is not enough of a threat. Now, if y'all on Facebook, there's a dude named Heavy on Phins. The last couple of weeks, I noticed that he's live streamed the game so we can see him. And in the game that we had against the Patriots last week, he was fire hot with how our running game, how a lack of us running the ball in the red zone. He was fire hot with McDaniel on that and pissed off. And I was trying to tell him hey, we're not running the ball as much as we should in the red zone, but we still getting scores. And maybe there's a reason why McDaniel's doing that. But no, I agree with Heavy on Phins now. We need to run the goddamn ball, but we need to use it as a threat. We haven't been doing that. And I think it's Mike McDaniel is the reason why we're not doing that. Not that team is really shutting down the run. I mean, Philly did shut down the run to some degree, But I think if we would have stuck with it in certain situations, it would have been able to produce for us. But we haven't been doing that lately, and that's on Mike McDaniel. I also noticed that Mahomes, he didn't really play better than Tua, but his mobility definitely showed as a slight difference maker because he was able to extend plays and make something happen off script at times. We got the ball back to start the third quarter, down by 3 touchdowns, and it's looking like we're going to need to get chunk plays and protect the ball. Third quarter, we start in the pistol with Mostert, and he was able to get a good run for us. And then at 14 minutes and 20 seconds, we ran a nice running back reverse to Raheem for a good game, but it ended up getting called back for holding on Colonel Williams. Next play, 3rd and 17. Our wide receivers couldn't get no separation. Tua had to scramble and slide, and Jake Bailey ended up punting. On defense, with 11 minutes on the clock, the Chiefs get a holding penalty that sent them back. That helped us, and that made it 3rd and 18. But notice Mahomes almost converts with his legs from scrambling and using his mobility. But they weren't able to get it, and they ended up punting. Offense is on the field in the third quarter. Jeff Wilson makes 2 back-to-back plays, a yak catch and a run, and then an outside zone run. And then we converted a 3rd down pass to Smythe on the dump off. Next play, we get a 1st down because L'Jarius Sneed, I forget which penalty he had, but that gave us a 1st down. And then Tua threw a 31-yard mini bomb to Cedric Wilson on a jump ball pass. Place it where only Ced could get to it, only he had a chance, and that gave us a score of 7-21. With time in the third to maybe get a stop, a 3 and out, and maybe some points before the fourth quarter. I'm thinking in my mind at this point, if we don't get points before the fourth, we're in trouble because that means that they're just gonna run the ball with Pacheco and drain the clock. So I'm thinking like, man, we got to get it going. Now, Tua was perfect on that last drive, so our defense got to tighten up and give us a chance. And it seemed like they were trying to do that. Defense, with 4 minutes and 47 seconds left in the third, I noticed that we're able to kind of contain them to some degree. Bradley Chubb at 2 minutes and 46 seconds made a nice pass deflection that could have led to an interception, but it was incomplete. Then the Chiefs got a holding penalty that set them back 10 yards to make it 3rd and 20. And then we finally get that break that I was looking for. Chubb gets a strip sack. Seiler recovers it. Now we're in business at the 27-yard line. Offense is on the field looking to score in the red zone. We tried to run left to Raheem, but it got called back for holding. Next play, Tua had to scramble for no gain. And then we followed that up with a play that he almost made the Tyreek. He threw a nice post pattern route to him, but it went through his hands. He wasn't able to catch it. He jumped for it, but he wasn't able to get to the ball. That made it 3rd and 20. Then Tua had to call a timeout because of the play clock, which happened a couple times in this game. KC gets an unnecessary roughness penalty that gave us a 1st. That put us at the 25, and Raheem Mostert pretty much did the rest. Had a nice run in for touchdown where he planted his feet to the ground, ran off Armstead and in goal to press the hole, and that gave us a score of 14-21. Fourth quarter, defense forces a 3 and out, and then we almost allowed Mahomes to complete a bomb on that drive to Valdez-Scantling, but Kader Kohou did a good job in coverage. And that made them punt the ball. Offense back on the field with 12 minutes and 7 seconds left. Raheem runs the ball on a toss to Mostert, but Chase Claypool recovers after he fumbled. Raheem got to hold on to the football. I noticed also that guard Robert Jones went down and had to be helped off the field, and he ended up being carted off the field. And I feel bad for Robert Jones because Robert has actually been playing pretty good at that guard spot for us. So, we're going to miss him. We got injuries on our O-line right now. I'm not going to say it's really affecting our game because we're still making plays, but, man, Isaiah Wynn, Teron Armstead's been in and out. Now Robert Jones, Lester Cotton has been having to come in and play. and it's just affected the continuity. And maybe that's been affecting the running game also. It's not having that continuity. We attempted a toss to Ahmed, but got tackled for a 6-yard loss. And that play right there was key in the game, because had it not been for that 6-yard loss, and that's just one play that hurt us. There was other plays that's going to be coming up that I'm going to talk about, but that's one of them that I think really kind of hurt us because it stopped our momentum. We ended up having a punt, because we weren't able to get no points, not even a field goal. Jake Bailey made a booming punt to Hardman, who actually caught it at the 1, and now the Chiefs are inside their 5 with bad field position. Defense was able to blanket Kelsey on 3rd and 1, and Chubb forced Mahomes to throw the ball away, so the Chiefs punted. Offense back on the field with 2 minutes left to score. Raheem Mostert goes apeshit, issuing out stiff arms to get us in Kansas City territory from 2 long runs. Now you would think McDaniel would continue running the ball, since these 2 back-to-back runs show that they're tired. They don't look like they want to stop the speed right now. Does he do that? No. We trying to pass the ball, because we're trying to get to another touchdown or whatever the case may be. And at 1 minute and 7 seconds, Tua had what looked like a touchdown to Cedric Wilson. And I get it, that would have been a touchdown, but he underthrew it. And, a lot of fans are kind of questioning that throw, questioning what the hell Tua was thinking on that throw. You even saw Cedric kind of frustrated that the ball was underthrown, but it looks like a miscommunication. It looks like Tua maybe expected him to come back, but he ended up beating his man and getting past his defender, and Tua just made the wrong pass on that throw. And then the moment I feared happened, that I've been kind of not anticipating, but kind of seeing that it might happen in a key game. Tua and Connor Williams, they had a bad snap, an errant snap, which Tua couldn't handle, and I ended up making it a turnover on downs. Chiefs got the football back, winning the victory T formation for the win, and that's how we lost the game, straight like that, 14-21. Let's take a look at the game stats on Numbers Lie, Numbers Don't. Both Tua and Mahomes had similar stats, so I don't think this game proved that Pat is far ahead of him as a quarterback. But there was a key difference that I noticed between the two. Like I said, Pat being able to extend plays when it matters a lot is the separator. Other than that, Tua is more accurate because the numbers say that he is. But he's going to need to add mobility to his game, I believe so, at some point in this system with Mike McDaniel. He's going to have to use his legs. He completed 21 of 34 passes for 193 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, got sacked 3 times for 18 yards. And I think his numbers would have looked much better than that had he completed that touchdown to Wilson and had it not been for the drops, but that was how the game played out. Mostert gained 85 yards off 12 carries. I like his production and how we've been using him on outside zone runs, and I get how our play action and the pistol kind of runs off of that. But we got to be able to lean on that sometimes, depending on the team. I think the game plan should adjust based on the team that we're playing. I mean, the man averaged 7.1 yards per tote. So that tells me he could produce more, if we leaned on him, but we didn't lean on him. As good as Salvon Ahmed has been since late last season, I see Salvon as more of a change of pace back. We're using him that way, but I don't think he adds anything different to the running back room. And he doesn't add anything different than the other backs. As far as Jeff Wilson, he did see some action and he made a few plays, but I think that after the season, we should evaluate him as a long-term solution as the power back, because I think Brooks maybe has a little bit more moves that could be more shifty than Jeff Wilson. And that's just from a small sample size, but that's kind of what I see. And this was another game where none of our pass catchers went over 100 yards. I noticed that whenever that's happened, more often than not, we've lost the game or we've struggled. And, this is kind of evident of that. Tyreek kind of cost us the game with his fumble, that should have been called incomplete, like I said. But everybody's due to have a bad game. You know, Tyreek's been on fire so far. He's due to have a bad game. It happens to even the best of them. He was productive and a blanket for Tua, but he finished with just 8 recs for 62 yards, no touchdowns, even though Tua targeted him 10 times. Waddle and Wilson both caught 3 balls for under 50 yards each, and that's not good enough. Smythe, Croft, and the tight ends did a good job of run blocking, and Smythe made a few key catches, but he didn't score and he wasn't a threat. Our O-line blocked well in the running and the passing game, but they got penalized way too much this game, and those penalties negated some key conversions, so I'll give them a C- this game. On defense, this is the 3rd game in a row where we saw Bradley Chubb make some impactful plays. I think he's getting better and better as a rusher, and our overall unit is getting better under Vic, and we can see it. The box score shows that Holland made the most tackles, but to me, Chubb, Siler, and Wilkins, they affected this game the most on that side of the ball. There was a few players that I think have disappeared. They disappeared this game, and they pretty much disappeared all season. Y'all heard me say it. Jerome Baker, Agba, those are the 2 guys that come to mind. It just seems to me like either they don't belong in this system or they just don't fit well. You know, they're better suited for Flores and Josh Boyer's scheme. From a number standpoint, we made more tackles than KC, than their defensive unit, but they had more quarterback hits than us, which I believe is also a difference maker for them. My final thoughts on this is I put this loss squarely on Coach Mike McDaniel's shoulders because of how he mishandled the running game, not running it enough once we crossed the opponent's turf. Jake Bailey ended up being the MVP of this game, which is ridiculous. When you got 2 prolific pass catchers and an accurate passer, he shouldn't be the MVP, but he was. He even kicked one into the scoreboard, which the last time I seen that happen was when the Cowboys first opened up AT&T Stadium. They were the first ones to have the scoreboard in the middle of the field. It was a couple of punters trying to kick it into the scoreboard. I don't think Jake Bailey was trying to do it, but he just put a lot of hang time on that bitch. That's why he was able to do that. I think we got a tight end problem. I don't like how we're using them. Yeah, they're good in the blocking game, but they're not threats. They're not threats. And when we look at those Shula teams that had Duper and Clayton, he can morph from he can go to a 3 tight end monster if he wanted to. Jim Jensen, the fullbacks, Keith Jackson. We had good tight ends when we had those burners on the outside. We need that for this offense, and it's starting to show. If you notice Kansas City, they've been kind of able to replace Tyreek Hill's production to some degree. Maybe not with one player, because Tyreek Hill is a generational talent, but they've been able to get other guys with speed to kind of replicate some of that. And maybe it's even made them even more of a dynamic threat on offense, not having Tyreek. You know, Mecole Hardman, he got speed. I ain't saying he is fast as Tyreek, but he can run some of the same plays. Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, they can flex him out wide to run running backs, wide receiver screens if they want to. So they can get that production. What they can't find is you can't find Tyreek Hill, but you can find burners. What you can't find is a Travis Kelce. They don't just come in every draft, and so it seemed like in their minds, as long as we got Kelce and Pat, we'll be okay without Tyreek. So we should look at that and say, well, you know what? We gotta have a legit tight end. It's been a double-edged sword because Kelce, Gesicki wasn't a good blocker, so our running game suffered. But now I ain't gonna say our passing game is suffering because obviously it's not. But I think teams are getting closer to either locking us down or limiting us to maybe under 17 points, and that's not good. I also don't like how Berrios is being used. I didn't like how we disappeared this game. He wasn't a factor this game. Claypool wasn't a factor this game. Cedric Wilson was a factor as the number 3 receiver. but I just don't see. I know it sounds like I'm just shitting on Cedric Wilson and like I want us to get rid of him. It's not because he's not a good receiver. It's just I think we need a different type of number 3 than him. And I made a post on who's a better number 3 between Berrios and River Craycraft. The consensus was Berrios. But when I think about it, River Craycraft was a part of a lot of the comebacks that we had last year. The Ravens come back, the Bills come back. Craycraft was a part of that. I don't think it's a coincidence that we came back and he was in the lineup on those comebacks. So maybe he might be the better option, and maybe he may be what's stopping us from really going to that next level, with our deception on offense. Maybe not having Craycraft. We'll see what happens if he was to come back. I know he's on IR right now, but once he comes back, I think our offense is going to look a little bit different. That's just my opinion. Another thing I want us to start doing that I noticed this game is I think we need to start throwing more bombs to Waddle. I don't like teams being able to key up on what we're doing. We went deep the hill when he's throwing the deuces, but when the last time y'all seen like a bomb to Waddle? I haven't seen that. I've seen him make plays on post and run after catch touchdowns, but I want to see some stretch bombs to Waddle. That'll take some heat off of Tyreek and allow him to do other things. Here's my big fish ballers of this week. Tua's on that list. Raheem Mostert's on that list. Cedric Wilson, Durham Smythe, Teron Armstead, Austin Jackson, Raekwon Davis, Christian Wilkins, Zach Seiler, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, David Long Jr., Xavier Howard, Kader Kohou, Javon Holland, and Jake Bailey. Next game, we face the Vegas Raiders at home. We should win that game easily. But that's why they play the game, because you never know. The Bills, they lost to a team they shouldn't have lost to. Like I said, the Chiefs lost to the Broncos, who we put 70 points on. So even though I expect us to win, you never know. Unfortunately, we're going to hear that y'all ain't beat nobody narrative for a while, because even if we win that game against the Raiders, they're going to continue to make that the thing, because the Raiders suck ass. They're not that good. And then the next 5 games against the Jets, Commanders, Titans, and then Jets again. I guess if we beat the Jets twice, that may, stop the hecklers a little bit, but I don't think so. But all 5 of those games are winnable games. And so, we should come out of that thing 10-4 or 10-3. 10-3, in my opinion, not 10-4, 10-3. And then the litmus test is going to be the games after that. We're going to be able to shake that narrative by beating the Cowboys on Christmas Eve, beating the Ravens, and then closing the season by beating the Bills, the last game of the season, which is looking like if we win that game, that'll put us amongst the top tier, and that'll kind of make up for that loss that we had against the Bills a few weeks ago. But a lot is determined on what our records are going to be at that point. What if we go 10-3 or we win all of these games, and then that last game, we still had 3 losses, and maybe the Bills, they may go on a winning streak. They may end up sitting their starters in that game. I don't think they will, because we hate the Bills, they hate us. It's a rivalry, so they may play their starters anyway, just to make a point that they're the better team. But depending on how it plays out, that may happen. But that's all I got for this show. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section about this loss. Are y'all buying into the narrative that we haven't beat nobody? I want to know y'all thoughts in the comment section. Till next time, signing off.